Welcome back to Horses of Courses. I'm Tania,
I'm Susanna.
and this is your March podcast.
On time.
On time, and also we first started this out a minute ago, and we did our intro. And Susanna popped in and said, "I'm Tania."
I don't know why I said that.
It's about to take me out. Oh gosh, we'll have to link to that somewhere. But anyway, so it's wild to me that we are almost headed. I mean, we're headed out of March at this point.
No, it's only like the 10th or the 11th.
The 12th.
Well, that's not out. That's
I mean,
not even the middle.
we're so close. We're close to spring.
Don't
before we
start
know it.
giving our time away. We're both old. We don't need to give time away.
I know, and it seems like just as soon as we get to Monday, it's Friday again, and and tomorrow's Friday, and the time is just kind of slipping away. Before you know it, it'll be Christmas. I'm not ready for Christmas yet.
No, shut up. Christmas.
Christmas. You just wait. I'll be like, remember that time I was just saying? Anyway, we are coming up on the kickoff of the Appalachian Trainer Face-Off. That is mind-blowing. You know what I love about this year? We have lots of good trainers we already like coming back.
We have more babies than we've ever had before.
We do.
So many babies.
But when we went over our list, we have enough horses.
Yes.
We just have enough. We don't have to go bringing horses in. Most of the horses are horses we've already had. We know a lot about them. They've already been vetted. And I think most of them, it's just kind of good all the way around. I think we're going into our 10th year in a really good spot. And also, we have so many trainers that we are like, we don't need any more trainers. No more trainers.
But you keep posting it.
I do, just in case we get something incredible. But then
if we do, we're going to have to go find another horse. They'll find us, though.
They'll find us. No worries. Then then today, a trainer that I liked commented about picking a horse. I was like, I didn't even have her on my list. We didn't have her on the list.
Now you're making it sound like we didn't want her.
We did, but I thought she had said she couldn't this year.
I kind of thought she had too.
And so all of a sudden, there she was. And so if you were hearing this and you were thinking about applying, we probably can't accept you, but put an app in anyway, just in case. It's been good. We've got Bethany McNett coming back. She hasn't been back as a competitive trainer since 2018 when she was reserve champion.
Yeah.
On Angus. Did a beautiful job, and I'm trying to think of the word hog swallowed, gob swallowed.
Gobsmacked? What are you trying to say?
Like when you get something over on someone, you just keep on and you hoodwink them. But I'm not trying to think of hoodwink. It's like
Gobsmack?
No, hog swallowed.
Hornswoggled. That's what
hornswoggled?
Yeah, hornswoggled. That's
well,
what you're
I hornswoggled Bethany McNett into coming back.
Gobsmacked. Sounds like you spit on somebody with a loogie.
I don't know.
What does that even mean?
I
think gobsmack means someone smacks you in the mouth, actually.
Well, I definitely didn't smack her, but I did get her to come back, and she's doing 365 with McAllister. She really likes him so far.
You were looking for Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle. To cheat, trick, swindle, or deceive someone. Well, I don't know if that's exactly what I did to her, but it's a good word. I kept on and beat her down until she agreed to do it.
Well, then I don't think gobsmacked or hornswoggled would work there. I don't know what you browbeat her.
I browbeat her. Now that I think is what happened. So she's coming back. For our 10th anniversary, we've got Randy McStutes back. We have Grace McCall from last year, who did such a brilliant job. She's coming back to do with Diamond, and then she's coming in with 365. Adam's back. I love that Bethany McNett's coming back. I would love to get Brenda back, Brenda Hanson, but I think she just can't do it this year.
Sad to not have her for a 10th year.
I know, and I think she feels bad, and I have felt like
I'm going to tell her that I'm not coming if she doesn't
come. I mean, I wish she could pull it off. And we have Zazu, who Randy McStutes won ATFO with the best freestyle I think we ever have seen in 2020, and he adopted Zazu, and they are competing. They were accepted as a competitive team for the Equine Affair in Columbus's Horse and Rider Versatility, which is very It's very involved. It's pretty intense. And so he'll be competing. Adam will be competing with his mule June. And Brenda will be there on her, I presume, her horse Ace.
I think so.
So
we won't know who to cheer for.
Well, I'm going to cheer for the Hop horse, even though I love all the trainers. Zazu. But it'll be fun. So actually, if you're hearing this and you're planning to attend Equine Fair, be sure to watch Horse and Rider Versatility for Brenda Hanson, Adam Black, and Randy McStutes. But if you're planning to find a way to support Heart of Phoenix this month or next month, one of the ways that you can do that is to visit the Appalachian Trainer Face-Off page. Look at the album. If there's a horse that really catches your eye, we'd love to have you consider sponsoring their stall. I believe we've raised it to $60 per stall. I think that's what the sponsorships are now. So if you can sponsor them for pickup, that takes the cost off of the rescue. And
it's
it ends
fun to read their names on the front of the stall, who sponsored who.
Well, and if you think about how many horses we haul in for that,
it's a lot.
It's a lot, and so it just costs a lot. We have to pay that otherwise. That's what the facility costs us per horse. So if you can sponsor, go to wvhorserescue.org and click the donate button. There's many ways you can give and sponsor a horse or two.
What if I want to sponsor for my stall?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I need Susanna a sponsor for my stall.
Susanna sleeps in a horse stall at the ATFO pickup.
In an empty barn.
In an empty barn.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to sponsor Susanna's stall,
would it
be
funny if I got like 10 and I had signs all over my stall?
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
That'd be amazing.
Oh, that would be. So you can sponsor Susanna's stall. We won't turn the money away. We will accept it.
That's funny. Maybe I can get a more bougie bed.
Yeah, better upgrade an air mattress or something. So that
I'm just kidding. I like my air mattress, but you can sponsor my stall. I would find that amusing.
I would too. So we wanted to talk to you. We talked about maybe doing this last month, and we found something else that seemed more timely. But this month, we wanted to talk about the difference in square bales of hay and round bales of hay, and even chopped hay.
Remember that comment somebody put? They bale the same hay off of the fields, and just one machine makes it square and the other one makes it round. There's no difference.
Right, and people actually believe that and think that way. And honestly, if you would have asked me 20 years ago, I don't know if I would have realized it. I guess if I would have thought much about it. But one difference is round bale hay, not even talking about the cut, round bale hay typically is going to be hay that farmers are selling. If you're going pound for pound, it's far more economical. So it follows logically as much work in terms of fertilizing may not have been put into the fields. A lot of times it's considered almost like dual purpose hay. It's going to be cattle hay that people can use for horses. So for one, you may not be talking about hay that starts as nutritionally dense. Now, there are farmers out there that work on their fields and maintain them when they're doing round bales. But odds are, if you're selling your hay squares, you know you have a different type of buyer going to a different kind of client as a rule. So for one, you may be putting more work into your hay when you're square baling it. It doesn't mean
not always true.
Not always true.
Sometimes they literally do come off the same field.
And they can. But just be aware, sometimes they don't. So you may have nutritional differences right away in the hay and how the fields are managed. Doesn't mean it's not suitable for horses, but it may not be horse hay. If you have a harder keeper, horses in work, mares, foals, etc. May not be. I have seen some beautiful round bales, though.
Me too.
The biggest difference is the way that the bales cut the hay and the length of the hay being cut.
Right. Yeah.
You will have much longer hay, longer pieces when you start pulling it. And why would that matter?
Well, because it gets all entangled with each other. And so if you've got a horse that's weak or bad teeth or something like, or that you're trying to feed in a hurry, a round roll will feed slower and make the horse work harder for it. Now there are people who take the round roll and they have that spinning machine on the back and they drive the field and the round roll unspools itself and they leave out lines. And then that's a little different. You still got long hay, but you're not working so hard to get the hay
right
out. But if you're feeding a compressed round roll, it's work to pull out of there. If you don't believe me, cut the strings on a square bale, which is easy to do. Cut the strings on a round roll, and then go try to jerk you out an equal amount of handful of hay in the same time
And
from the middle.
and measure the lengths of the cuts and
Yeah.
think about that. And you know what I will say, as like non-scientific research based, just my observation over the years, when we have gone into cases where some horses look good and some horses look terrible, it has always been when they are feeding round bales.
Yeah.
It has never been a square bale setting. Doesn't mean that's never happened, but the reason being, that shows you the dental challenges. When we have removed those horses, it is horses that have had significant dental challenges that were the thin horses, and it has always been when they were on round bales.
Like Cece that we talked about last time.
Right. Cece, that's a good point. She was the only thin.
Which her case is the case where the person said there's no difference between the rounds and the squares. They come off the same field. That was when we were talking about her not being able to eat the round rolls.
Well, and she was the only one that was older. She did have some significant dental challenges at her age, and she was the only one that was thin. The other ones looked fine. So that's
one other thing, though, that we need to point out with round and squares isn't necessarily the nutrition, but there's more mycotoxins in a round roll of hay. So if you've got a horse that has true actual horse asthma, which there are a few cases, or heaves, and you're feeding your round rolls, you're throwing a lot more mycotoxins in their face. And even if you don't have a horse that has true horse asthma or heaves, you're predisposing your horses to coming down with it, because heaves is like Jenga blocks. You keep stacking the mycotoxins, stacking it, till one day you stack the last dose of mycotoxin on there and the Jenga blocks fall over.
Well, and heaves is a hurtful thing. We just had a 7-year-old mare we just had to put down.
That's a young one for heaves.
That had terrible heaves. Also, botulism.
Yes.
Much higher risk.
Much higher risk
of botulism. One reason being the way that it bales, you'll find whole foal skeletons in round bales.
Not foals.
Foals. Oh, God.
Not
what
foals.
A terrible
How
thing.
about fawns?
Fawns. Not foals.
Not foals.
And I'm laughing about it, but whole fawns. I mean, I have more than once found a whole fawn.
Yeah, well, that's why that guy lost 6 of his cows like about 45 minutes from here, because they all ate the round roll with a fawn in it.
Yeah, and so, not to say, I mean, you can get little rodents and things in square bales, but
snakes is what I usually find in my square
also
bales.
Moisture
Snakes.
is far more apt. You're going to start rotting situations in the, depending on how they're baled. There's lots of risks. I think, and so I want to preface, like, and say we use round bales.
Yes.
We're not saying don't, but just be aware of the differences.
I do not use them for my 2 mares because they came from a place where they were fed crappy round rolls all the time, and so I know that the Jenga blocks have been stacked for the mycotoxins, and I'm afraid that if I keep stacking them, they are going to tip over into heaves. Right. So I don't use them for my personal mares. And
then we haven't talked much about chopped hay. You can take, if you were minus the concerns that there could be for, heaves and botulism. In some places, you're vaccinating for botulism, but when you can take hay and you can get a chopper, and there's various options, and you can, if economical like considerations, like you can chop.
People use leaf mulchers for that.
Yeah, I've thought about it.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. And you can create chopped hay out of it. That's not going to change the nutritional value, but it is a concern if you have the concerns about how your horse is chewing hay, and maybe you have an amazing access to round bales, but your older horses can't do it, and you can look into chopping those. So just be aware there are differences. I have seen really nice round bales. I've seen really crappy square bales. So you don't just assume that because it's round baled hay, it's not good hay.
Right. And then you could shrink wrap it. You could be barn kept. There's all sorts of. It's a lot easier to barn keep a square bale than it is a round roll. But there are a lot
and to
of
manage,
people,
you have to have a tractor.
Yes.
Or a couple of really strong men.
With a hay spear or one of those roller out thingies.
To move them around. And people tend, and this I think goes back to the botulism, you tend to feed it in a certain area you know, and you build up potential areas of concern there in terms of botulism, and also just kill your grass
And
out.
that's happened.
And it's harder to move. You get these bald spots, and so it's more management.
Or
when
you
you're
can
using...
do like me. Stupid me hadn't messed with round rolls very often, and Tania says, "Well, I want you to get a round roll for somebody or other." So I got the round roll, set it down on the hill the wrong direction. The sucker rolled all the way down the hill and banged into my gate.
Me and our hay guy just talked about that. I said, Shane, you can put that round bell over there. He goes, well, what might it do? And I was like, oh, it'll roll through the fence. Please don't. We just had that conversation like 5 days ago.
I did that on I think my second round roll. Just wasn't thinking about it.
Right. So
banged right into the gate. Still bent today.
Things to think about when you're feeding hay. That
I think you skipped somehow.
No, I have these in a total. We have our like what we're talking about, and I don't have them in correct order.
Oh, good. Let's make it even more challenging. No wonder I think I'm Tania today. You've got me all bumfuzzled.
Yeah. So we wanted to talk to you. We talked about this last month, and we carried it over about Henderson.
Yeah, I told her to hush and save it for March.
And we want to.
Now they think this is going to be some fantastic story that we've left them on a cliffhanger.
We want to talk about Henderson, and if you follow the ATFO in 2024, Maribeth Pepler picked him. He'd come to us after being caught in some broker scheme where he was bailed and then he was turned over to us.
Not in a round roll. He wasn't bailed in a round roll.
No, he wasn't bailed in a round roll or a square bail. He was bailed out of essentially a trading operation, and he was ultimately turned over to us. He kind of looked like Eeyore. You know, he was a horse, but he had a bit of an Eeyore-y, muley vibe. He was a little Grula.
Yeah.
Really emaciated, pot-bellied, kind of hideous, but we really liked him.
And we had a video of him bucking through the auction.
Right. So it was not the auction, it was the bail. Like after he had been bought by the traders, and he was bucking all over, and they were talking about...
Too big a saddle with too big a cowboy.
Yeah. And it was really hard to watch and listen to the guys talking about. They said that when he had went through the auction, they had a kid on him. And that he was talking about what kind of person would have done that while he's 100 pounds too heavy for this little starved feller.
In a saddle that's 6 inches too long
and then he
for
took
his
off,
kidneys.
Yeah, and then he took off bucking. Well, what made that was sad as it was, but what made it really heartbreaking is he was a good little horse. And Maribeth started working with him, and she just didn't feel like he was comfortable. And we kept looking for, he had a
tiny bit of a roach back.
He had a little bit of a roach back, and I think we just kind of thought maybe this is what it is. And Maribeth has a real high standard of soundness. Like she really, really wants a horse to be 100% comfortable. I wish everybody felt the way she does about it and could spot it and really that diligent. But she just said, he's just not comfortable. So he came back to us. We did another lameness. We weren't seeing anything. And we really looked quite a while, and he had a really bad mouth. Yes. He had to have his teeth floated like every 8 weeks. His mouth was so bad. I think we did him 4 times.
We did, yeah.
And what happened is he rehabbed, and he was a barn favorite. And Dr. Walker had him sedated for his 4th float. And we were just letting him wake up out of the sedation, and Dr. Walker could see his stifle coming out essentially of the joint. Like it
was a wild
video. It was a wild thing. Like it was crazy, but he was so relaxed. Then you couldn't tell when it would catch and be correct. But it was a severe birth defect. It was something that when he was in movement, when it wasn't happening, you just couldn't see it. And what made it so sad is thinking about that big old Yahoo horse trader riding this little guy, knowing that, like Dr. Walker said, this is hurting him all the time. He's just learned to live with it. He's like, it is impossible, but this is extraordinarily painful all the time.
Which was super sad.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, we've just had so many horses come through. I'd have to look back at the actual information as to what exactly was going on that was a deformity in the stifle. But as best I remember, it like essentially you could...
I think it just disengaged itself while he was that relaxed.
It was wild. So, and it was different than, what is it, like a luxating stifle, which you'll see in young horses, and it eventually is that what it is? Luxating?
Luxating patella.
Yeah.
Is what's.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a luxating stifle. Maybe there is. Definitely luxating patella. I will look that up.
Well,
we'll see.
I feel like the patella is part of it. Is the stifle? I mean, am I going to be able to publish this?
I don't know.
Am I going to be able to publish this podcast because we don't know that a stifle is the patella?
Wait a minute. A locking stifle is a luxating patella.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So
it's the same. Like, I mean, it's the same thing. But it's what he had was not a locking stifle. It was different than that. Honestly, you could probably go on to Happy Helpers and see. But either way, it was a very sad thing. It was not correctable. It was causing him pain all of the time. He just learned to live with it. Ultimately, he was a euthanasia.
Which made everyone very sad.
Yeah, it was very sad. And the trainer was like, I'm so glad that I just kept, feeling this offness, because he was willing to kind of carry her. It just wasn't, she just could tell it's not quite right. That he had been able to figure out how to hide it, and to feel secure.
And the body worker had mentioned that area. She thought that was the problem, but nobody could find the problem.
Right. And it sounds strange. I'm sure hearing this, you'd be like, oh, I should have been able to see it. But we look pretty hard, and we have a really good lameness vet. And just until he was so relaxed, it just wasn't evident. So really sad. And honestly, kind of an example of the kinds of horses that end up in those trader broker lot scams. And I'm glad he ended up with us, and we did the right thing. I hate that it took some time, but he was doted on and rehabbed nice physically as far as his weight. So up next, we have a hot take. It's not the hottest take we've ever had.
It was kind of silly, though.
But it was kind of silly. It involves not understanding and being willing to almost present it in an argumentative way why a metabolic horse that's at risk of founder or laminitis, or a horse that potentially, if they're metabolic, has already foundered or had laminitic episodes, why they shouldn't have grain.
Why can't they have grain?
Why wouldn't you give them grain? And I feel like this kind of comment was remarkable because of what it came under an explanation that should have led you to know why, right? You did this article.
Yeah, and it was talking about
grass, right?
and if your horse is getting crusty, or if your horse has had a history of laminitis, or if your horse gets footy in the spring or the fall, or just all kinds of things about how to keep them from tipping over into really bad laminitis with spring grass coming on. And one of the things that it mentioned was, when you have them out there, don't feed them grain, or if they're having a laminitic episode, don't feed them grain. This person was like, well, why can't they have grain? And I was like, is this a real question?
And this is a reminder of, don't take for granted that people understand or get it. And I'm sure all of us could fall into this category sometimes. I mean, literally, we weren't sure if a stifle was a patella a minute ago, so who were we to point fingers? But you just don't assume if you were trying to help get somebody through a equine management thing, don't overlook the details that you assume they have.
Yeah,
they don't. Let me tell you, they don't have the details.
There's a lot of people that think grain is literally what horses are supposed to eat. That they were made to eat grain.
Right.
They were not made to eat grain.
They were not. I mean, they will search out some wild grains, but wild grains are nothing like what we have. And it would have been a very limited amount of access that horses would have come across.
50 miles of roaming in between.
Right. Extending
each little patch.
All these calories. So we're going to end this episode for March with talking about planning for the end. And this is a really, I think, an important topic. It doesn't get talked about in depth enough. But what we mean is, for one, I'm not just talking about if you are at an age where you know that time is short. I'm talking about every person needs to have a plan. If
Yeah.
you can be I'm 44. Am I 44? No, I'm not. But I'll be 44.
Well, we're just arguing with ourselves right and left today. You don't
You
know how old you are.
you
I
don't know
don't know
your
my
name.
name.
This is bad. It's because we're so hungry.
I'm so hungry.
We
I
are
am
so hungry. We are all podcasting guys. I haven't had anything today. I don't know if Susanna has.
A little
It's
bit.
like 6 o'clock my time, PM, and I am so hungry. We're going to go get Mexican after we leave this like setting. Anyway, but I am almost 44, and no matter your age, have a plan. But certainly, as you get to the point where there's bided time, and that could be 67. Okay, the average person in America today lives to be around 80, but most of those people that are living to be around 80, it's not all functional. You're not just doing your very best. Some people are, but as a rule, you're not doing your
Susan
best.
Sunday is.
Buddy, Susan Sunday is.
Yeah.
But you
what
really
sparked this is that the family of the lady called, and she had 5 thoroughbreds, and she died at 62 unexpectedly, and now they're from out of state, and there's no one to take care of these 5 thoroughbreds.
Well, and how sad that they've come in and they have limited time. There's
Yeah.
nowhere for the horses to go, and the truth, and they're all old horses mostly.
Well, the youngest one's 15.
Right, but there's some that are 30
17,
plus, right?
30-year-old.
Yeah. And this is not a news story. I mean, we have this happen. And today on the way here, I got a call about nine thoroughbreds and paints. Almost all of these horses have disadvantages or are old horses. And the person is in a late stage cancer. So what happens? What I would say to you is you aren't promised anything tomorrow. Have a plan. Make sure people know what your plan is. And what I would encourage you to do is actually, if euthanasia's on the table and you have older or disadvantaged horses or horses that you simply don't want to ever leave at risk, I don't care if the horse is 9 years old. And say you get a cancer diagnosis and you have 18 months, do the euthanasia while you are able to see it through. Because you cannot be sure when your family is in crisis after you are gone that they can make that call.
Well, did you see one of the rescue partners' sad story the other day? Yesterday. Did you see that story?
I think I know what you're talking about.
One of our rescue partners
Yes.
in a group that we're in, these people insisted this 30-year-old horse had lots of life left.
Right.
And
that
they
was
would
horrible.
not euthanize it. And they brought it to the rescue, and it got off the trailer. They put it in the field, and the next morning they came in, and it was dead.
Yeah.
That poor old feller died where he didn't know anybody or anyone.
And the number of, think about how many times we've had old horses come in and they just unravel, they just unravel. And horses that are in their mid to late 20s, and you move them, especially if they're a horse that has known significant stability, it is a tragic, sad thing to take an old horse to a new place, an orphanage if it's a rescue, because that's what a rescue is. It is tragic, and somebody will think of some happy story, but that's not what usually happens. If you live in the could-be's all the time, what actually does happen gets overlooked, and a lot of times that's very sad. So do not wait and put it on your family to make these kinds of plans. Have something. If you can reach out, you can do end-of-life planning. You can reach out to rescues. There are rescues all over the United States. There are good rescues. You can leave a bequest to take care of your horses. You have to make sure they are agreeing to accept the horse. You need to make sure it's an organization that's been around a long time, that should be around, should there ever be a need. Make sure you're able to leave enough money to actually care for your horses. Leave realistic expectations behind. Most rescues won't be able to keep all the horses together if you have a herd. Make these placements in these decisions, whether it's health decisions, euthanasia decisions, financial amounts that go with the horses. Make all of that well in advance, and make sure people understand it, know where those documents are.
And make sure that you've talked to the people you think are going to take them. Because we did have a person call who their neighbor willed them her horses and had never talked to her about it. And she's like, I can't take all of these.
Right. Well, and also if you leave euthanasia instructions, those have been overturned. I mean, there have been stories, especially with small animals, where that's gone to court and it doesn't ever end up carried out. So if euthanasia and your horse is not being placed is really important to you, again, obviously you can't predict if there's a tragic accident. But if you know there's a health concern you have, or you know that you have a certain amount of time left, do it before you are unable to. See that through. It's better for the animal, it's better for your family, and you will feel better about it, as hard as that may be to hear. If you are a family that is hearing this and you face a situation in the future where you have 20-year-old horses or horses with disadvantages, and you have lost family and they belong to a family member or friend, and now you're in control, euthanasia is the kindest thing. Do not move those horses from the land that they know if you can help it. Don't say things like, I can't bring myself to do it. You be tough and you do the right thing, period. If you cannot connect with that strength in you, then reach out to a good rescue. But we can't always say yes. We can't say yes to those horses that you're talking about. There's just nothing we can do right now. I don't know what will happen, but whatever it is, it's very likely to be very sad. And in this other situation I had the call today, we can't help with all of those horses. And you can go around assuming that somebody will be there when the time is there. And they won't. Often they won't. And some good old boy will tell you a story, put the horse in the trailer and run it to a sale barn. And then an animal that's known good care ends in tragedy. So
that would be really sad.
Yeah.
It's so hard, though, to be on the telephone with these people who are crying. First of all, they're crying because they lost their aunt. They weren't expecting to, and they evidently really loved her. But then also, they're crying because they're stuck. And these horses were in beautiful shape, and the property was very nice, but there's nobody to take care of them.
Right.
They don't even know anything about horses. These people don't.
And also, what makes it all additionally challenging is if you are not a horse person and you come in, you don't know whether the horse is safe, comfortable. You don't know how to determine its quality of life. People, you might try to place it. You don't know if what you're telling people about it is even accurate. It's just a burden that is very unfair to place on someone else. So plan for the end, for the sake of your animals, for the sake of your family, your friends, and for yourself. Do the right thing. And sometimes that will be making hard calls, and that's okay. We make hard calls all the time. And I've said to Susanna, what we talked about this last time, I remember, I think we're just talking about because the mares you have left are metabolic.
Probably. They're not confirmed, but probably.
Yeah, but my two horses have been with me since they were 2 and 3. They are 19 and 20 now. And if my family knows, if something were to happen to me, they're euthanasias. I don't want them to ever, ever, ever be at risk of one bad day. They've never had a bad day, and they're not going to have a bad day. And I'm, 43.
Did you been sitting here counting?
Yeah. Anyway.
Are you going to be 43 next month?
No, I'll be 44, but I don't want to rush it.
Oh, you'll be 44.
I will be 44. So,
all right.
Anyway, I'm hungry, y'all. We said some crazy things on this episode. I hope you got a kick out of it. We're going to go eat now. What we know next time is do not podcast until we've eaten for sure. But all right, we will. You'll catch us next month. Until then, I'm Tania.
Who am I?
Who am I?
I'm Susanna.
She's Susanna, and that's Horses of Courses.